Nobody knows me like nobody else does. I was born in 1984, a great year. Heavy metal was already at its peak. Wrestling was already at its dominance. Video games was already a hot commodity. Music was already getting bigger as time went on. Movies were already a big hit at the box offices. A lot of great things were happening in these times. But sit back and buckle up, because I'm going to throw 4 parts here at you that are going to be very scary to watch. And yes, I'm going to use a lot of graphic language and graphic violence. Being born was tough. I lost my father when I was a year old. I'm sure he was a dick. He was a total dick. I didn't know who he was, but I know for a fact he was a loser. A drunk, a pothead, and an idiot. I didn't go down that road like he did. No. I grew up the right way. My mother raised me to be a man. Sure, money was tight and things were very difficult. I went through those times, but I didn't let things bother me. I was growing up, and I went through a lot of changes and learned to defend for myself, defend my honor and glory. I fought through a lot of the times through all these years. Most of the times that I knew that I had to fight for, I fought for it all. I had my head driven down a flight of stairs in first grade by 3 seventh graders. I survived that. My grandfather yanked all 3 of the bastards and threw them into the office. My grandfather wasn't going to stand for that kind of tolerant behavior. I went through a lot in my life. I faced a lot of assholes in my entire life. 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade. Took them all on. 5th grade, 6th grade, the battles got heavier. The violence got a little extremer. I brought the fight to everybody. I was the kind of guy that I'll break your kneecaps. I learned a lot. Mostly from one of my favorites, Bret the Hitman Hart. His sharpshooter, I learned that very, very quickly. And many other holds. I was watching the WWF at the time and World Championship Wrestling at the same time. Nobody knew me then. I was a different guy. And then 6th, 7th grade, the fighting got really ugly. It turned into a war. See, you want to get personal, we'll get personal. I was the kind of guy, you want to get it in the ring? Let's go, get it in the fucking ring. I brought it to them every step of the goddamn way. I was the first person that no one never wanted to test. I punched out a Pollock, I knocked out a faggot, and I took out a bunch of spics. Yeah, that's right. I fought my way back from pain and suffering and sorrow. Was I gonna go down? No. I lost a lot of people growing up. Yeah, it was hard. Sure, I watched a lot of wrestling shows and grew up and took on things differently. 7th grade, it was very, I went through a change in my life. I was reading chess books, and I fell in love with the first girl I met. Not bad looking, very, a little weird, but it was great. And I'll tell you from experience, making out with the first girl was not as bad as I thought. I thought, holy shit, unreal. My first kiss on a field trip, I shared my first kiss with the girl that I wanted. It was beautiful. And sure, the teachers didn't like that, but you know what? I didn't care. Because I was still going through the pain and the sorrows that leaving schools that were, I left a school that I didn't want to leave, and sure, I went to a shitty school that, sure, dealt with autistic people that, no one knew about. Nobody knew me. For years, I started dominating the scene. I dated the same girl for 6 years. We made love constantly on the we made love on the school bus. I mean, I made out with her so many times. I mean, let me just say this. I didn't have sex with her until I was 18. Sure, it was a difficult time in my life. I was going through a shitty time. I mean, people were getting stupid around my house. Sure, things didn't go as well as planned because everything was retarded. You know, I have a dumb uncle who's an idiot. My grandfather, I don't know what the hell he was smoking. He was on some weird stuff at the time. People filled their head with stupid ideas. But as time progressed, I left that one shitty school in the year of 2003. After what they did to me, after 6 years of hard work and blood, sweat, and tears, after all the good teachers left, I can thank the one person I made love to. She kind of stabbed me in the back. And she did it for one thing, the money. They paid her a lot of money to get rid of me, but in the end, I got my way back. It was called Sweet Sorrow Revenge. But as time progressed and I moved forward, I came to Curie High School for one thing: to dominate. My first goal was to dominate the world. I took on the best the world had to offer. Everybody didn't know that. They didn't know. You didn't know that. You didn't know that then, and you're not gonna know it now. When I came to Curie, I was just a new kid off the street. They gave me clothes, they gave me food, they gave me shelter, and they gave me a chance to rebrand myself. I first did Curie football in TV. TV studio was my first dream. It was my dream come true to do. And then I did Sports Center. Sports Center was the hot ticket of 2003 because at the time I was a big New Yorker. At the time, I learned a lot of things. I got into Xbox, I got into PlayStation, I got into a lot of things. But I'm an old school guy. I'm very old school. I played by the rules. I didn't cheap shot nobody or low blow anybody from behind. I met a lot of people. And I got a chance to do radio news for my high school. I did that, and oh man, it took off like a fucking firestorm. I went to my first Christmas program. Curie High School gave me that chance to give me that second chance. I didn't know what Christmas felt like. I grew up going through a tough time in life, and I went through a lot of that sometimes. And when I went to their Christmas program, it brought back some great memories of my childhood and everything, and it made me feel home again. It was good. It was great. That love was there, and it was right there in front of your eyes. The magic grew as it went on. But as time progressed, I was feeling it. I mean, I felt that passion that came back. I was already firing up. I was going through scumbags that were putting me down and insulting me. One asshole wrote, "I take it up the ass for 50 cents" on my gym uniform. I was going to blast this son of a bitch. Because, let me just say this, him and his little crew, oh yeah, little gangsters, or should I say wanksters, because they were wankers anyway. They thought they were the hit of the school. Unfortunately, they weren't. They didn't know who the hell I was. I just walked right through them. Like I didn't want nothing to do with them. They were shit on a stick. Because they looked like the past to me. Some idiots that I don't want to deal with. I got very popular with the Curie High School crowd, and I got very popular with the fans. And I signed over 3,000 autographs within that time frame. I met a lot of great people, and as time progressed, I started changing my ways. You know, I graduated really, really big and really hard. I mean, 3.2 GPA with an IQ of 140. Coming to Columbia College was the big step. That was my first big step. Radio and television. Now, this was before I started becoming a wrestling announcer. I wanted to do radio because for so many years I've learned from, the great Don Imus and Howard Stern, and I've learned over those years. I mean, I've learned a lot from them because they're New York radio. And learning also from, if you don't remember WNBC radio, 66 WNBC. Yeah, that was back in the 80s, so yeah, that's real hard. That's real hard hitting right there. You will learn as time goes on. I mean, I went to Columbia College, signed up. I took some classes from there, and I started making moves. And the first girl, I dated a black girl in college. This was the first step. I never thought dating a black girl was cool, but at first, she was touching my nuts and all that and fun stuff like that. That's great. But as time went on, I wanted to do radio, and I went upstairs in their office in radio, and I asked for a radio show. And my idea was to come up with Extreme Radio for Wednesdays, and I took Extreme Radio to the limit, which I wanted to do. I did sports, weather, traffic, and a lot of the music news that was going around the world because I was a musician, and music was my thing. And being a guitarist for over 22 years, you got to learn this stuff. You can't just learn half the shit overnight. No, it takes years of experience, training, and conditioning to finally figure out where you wanted to go. And where you wanted to go, I knew what I wanted to do, and I did what I had to do. And then as time progressed, and I met all my teachers, made some new friends in college, and the one day, I don't know how this happened, but the black girl I was dating in college, her name was Dominique. We were making out, and I was getting ready to do radio, and she wanted me to. I was like, I gotta go do radio, and she came upstairs with me, and we both got on radio. We did some radio, and then I programmed music in, and during commercial break, I threw some metal albums on. I was going through mostly Iron Maiden, because Maiden was my thing. Iron Maiden was the big hit. But at the same time, she was feeling me. She wanted to have sex. She was so horny, and she gave me my first blowjob. I never had a blowjob in my life from a girl. That was experience 101. I felt like the fucking world got set on fire. And I never thought a black girl would do that. Holy shit. She blew me as hard as she blew me. I felt good. And then we had sex during commercial break. And with the music playing still, that was beautiful. That was going strong as I thought. Then, I passed radio. I passed all my classes, and I did television. And then as time went on, I had my first ear infection, and it took almost 2 months to get rid of. I didn't expect all that pain to go through like that. Scary times. I passed my first year. I took 2 years of college and got my bachelor's, and as I grew and I expanded my horizons, you'll understand more. I went through a lot more as time progressed. I went through a very difficult change in my life. Sure, I had my friends still, and I was enjoying, video games and music and life and everything, everyday life. But as time progressed, I changed history forever. I made history change. 2006 was a great year for me. Excellence was the key to bringing it together. My first goal was to throw the biggest party of the year. I never thought I'd do it, but I did. With the help of some friends from high school and friends I was growing up with, we threw one of the biggest parties of all time in history. I had my own bar. I had over I had about 12 or 13, 14 cases of beer. We were drinking Ice House, Special X, Busch, Budweiser, George Killian's, Keystone. Some people brought whiskey and vodka, but I didn't worry about that. That was not for me. We partied till we dropped. I mean, we had more music blasting like never before, and we made impacts that night. I mean, I made an impact. I mean, I got at the top of the bar, I yelled out in unison, "Who came to fucking see a party and who wanted to get down with Panther? Let's go!" I had more people in here, loud as all hell. We threw the greatest party in history. And I made history that night. Made over $30 that night. And as time progressed, I mean, we had a power outage. And I didn't expect this kind of a power outage. I mean, sure, I don't bring up power outages like I usually, but this one was ridiculous. For 24 hours, we had no power. And I bitched constantly to comment. I was bitching and bitching and bitching, trying to find out what the story was. It got really ridiculous. I cleaned up all the mess that we had, and I started getting into the spirit of Christmas already, because Christmas time, I was getting ready for, Trans-Siberian Orchestra. I mean, I started doing live shows, and my first live show was at Curie. And Curie High School, let me just say this. When you went to their halls, it's like walking into Madison Square Garden. That place was loud. The place had everything you could name off. I mean, history. I mean, the people. I mean, sure, I'm a third generation out of that school, because I brought history and fortune and fame to that place. I mean, I've done what I needed to do. But as I've learned and I grow, I mean, I brought happiness to the fans. I mean, the fans love the music. I mean, the guitars were cranked, the fans were pumped, they knew what they wanted. It was called entertainment. Christmas time was my first thing to go with, and I went with the distance, and I've gone the distance. I mean, my first championship, I earned that championship because all the years that everyone kept saying, "Oh, you can't do it, you can't do it." Yeah. Watch me, motherfucker. By the next 15 years from now, you'll all be sorry. I already got a few under my belt. There's more to come. Just watch. You'll see. Part 2's coming up next. Just get ready. Hang on to your hats. Hang on tight. There's more to come. Just watch. You'll see. As time was moving forwards, I moved to Boston in 2007 because a lot of things changed in Chicago. It wasn't the same anymore. Things just didn't go as they planned. I struggled a little bit. I watched the Red Sox each day, and I was watching because I was a big Red Sox guy. And I didn't like the Patriots. Let me just say this. I hated the New England Patriots for what they really were. They were stupid to me. I couldn't stand Bill Belichick or his stupid crew. I was never a Patriots guy. I was a Jets guy. And I've been a Jets guy for so many years, and I've loved the Giants because of Bill Parcells. And the New York Knicks, I started getting into the Knicks, and then the Rangers, and then the Mets. I've learned that over a period span of time, but I've learned that sometimes, you just gotta pick your favorites. And sure, I watched Joe Carter hitting a 3-run homer off of number 99. That was a great moment. I mean, I've been a Blue Jays guy too for many years, and watching that and watching a lot of the greats like Joe Carter, Paul Molitor, Devon White, Ricky Henderson, Roger Clemens, Ed Sprague, Sean Green, Carlos Delgado. Those were my guys. I mean, these were my guys that I've watched over the years. I mean, I've learned that some things in life you just can't get what you want, but you gotta get what you need. But I love the guys that I saw from Boston. Dustin Pedroia, Big Papi, Manny Ramirez, Jake the Snake Ellsbury. All these guys were great hitters. I mean, I watched them kick the crap in 2004. They kicked the crap out of the Cardinals, which that was great. And sure, the Miami Heat won the NBA Finals, but that's another story. But I did love the fact that when the Red Sox won the World Series, I was so happy. I mean, going down to the Boston Parade and then standing near Yankee Boulevard, right near Fenway Park, watching the Red Sox winning the World Series is incredible. It's time progressed and I've learned to move forwards, I was struggling. I mean, Boston started getting hard and money was just getting to be a real bit of a pain in the ass. But I grew up with it. That's why I decided, I'm like, okay, New York is the next step. And New York City has always been my tail pointer. I moved to New York. I mean, it was good. I mean, walking around Little Italy, getting a chance to see Fifth Avenue, Trump Towers, that was good. It's great. You gotta take the good with the bad. Sure, I ate a lot of different things in life. I mean, I love pastrami, prosciutto, salami. God love Italian beef with mozzarella on it. And a lot of the things I was loving at the time, like sandwiches, I was a big sub guy. I'll never eat at Subway because Subway was crap. It was always crap. I never liked it. And I've always said, if you want to get your own food, do it the right way. I learned that. I love doing a lot of the cooking. I learned how to cook my own way. And as I was growing up and I kept getting smarter and I started learning these things, I already said, you know what? Professional wrestling was the next step. And yeah, it was. Professional wrestling was the next step up. And I knew what I wanted to do. So 2009, I was struggling really, really hard and going through a difficult time in my life of change and sorrow, and yeah. Also, I take care of guinea pigs. Yeah, that's better than masturbating. Masturbating is not as fun as I thought it would be. It's just another day at the office. But professional wrestling really got me in the right direction. I went to my first Comic-Con. I met my first guy from Beverly Hills 90210, Steve Sanders. Oh man, that was phenomenal. I was just amazed by the guy. The guy was fucking phenomenal. This was just fucking great. More fucking great than anything I ever did in my life. Sure, I may have met Mike Singletary and Bob Hope and Bob Love and all that. That was great. But nothing compares to meeting Ian Ziegler from Beverly Hills 90210. That was great. But as I moved forward, I met Raven and Shane Douglas. And Shane Douglas asked me the very first question. Who was the first ECW World Heavyweight Champion? Come on. I already knew who that was. Shane Douglas. Raven thought he was the first champion. I looked at Raven and went, yo, check. Raven, I like your work, man, but you sure. In the words of the great Diamond Dallas Pages, he once said, you look good, you look great, just, you gotta take a back seat. So me and Shane talked, and, oh man, doing a lot of things. He was surprised at all the work that I put in, and time, and conditioning, and man, meeting these guys, they were great. And then I got a chance to meet Diamond Dallas Page. DDP. Diamond Dallas Page. What a class act this guy was. I met him, and for years I learned, I did a diamond cutter in 6th grade to some tall, blonde faggot because he was a fruitcake. Yeah, well, he was a fag, and I whipped his ass, and he had it coming. But on to other things. When I met Diamond Dallas Page, it felt great. He had the whole DDP yoga thing going at the time, and that was a kind of a kick-ass kind of thing. I kind of enjoyed it, and I thought it was fucking phenomenal. I mean, that was just, damn, how could you fucking do it? And then I ran into Mick Foley. I never thought I'd do it, but hey, I met Mick Foley. That was kind of a turning point in the right direction. So I met a lot of stars that day at Comic-Con. And then I found a flyer for AAW Wrestling. This was my first ticket. My first ticket to wrestling. This is where I met Dustin. I did not know who he was at first, but he surprised me. The first brand of this was my first move, because I already done what I need to do in the sports world. Now it's coming to professional wrestling. I started building my corporation, and the first thing I wanted to do was build a corporation. Professional wrestling was my first gig. It was my first love. As time went on, I got Social Security that I wanted, and I got that secured. Took care of that, and I was living a lot better. I was eating a lot better. Got the clothes I needed. Sure, I was going through some difficult changes in my life, and I felt great. I was feeling good. And then as time went on, I was buying a lot off of Dustin, and my corporation started getting bigger. My other things I was doing a lot of things in the video game industry and the music industry and the professional wrestling and even the toy department. My thing was to start building. And I took on them challenges. Flying in from New York and getting to Chicago for AAW. Sure, AAW was held in Berwyn, and I loved that place. I loved it. It was like coming to Atlanta. It was like going to go see World Championship Wrestling in Atlanta. And the thing was, Atlanta felt different. It was a different vibe and a different atmosphere. The atmosphere changed my complexion in time. And as time went on, and sure, I was announcing all the matches by myself. I was kind of like the Joey Styles of the fucking announcing. I was learning from Joey. Joey Styles I've learned from, Gorilla Monsoon, Gordon Soley, Vince McMahon, Jesse Ventura, Mean Gene Okerlund, Eric Bischoff, Lee Marshall. These are the guys I grew up watching as a kid. I've learned all the announcing because I've watched the AWA, the NWA, the WCW, the ECW. I grew up watching it, even the WWF. This is what I wanted. And I was living the dream. I was living the legacy that I wanted. I really lived. I was really falling for it, and I was loving it. The matches were surprising. Half of the matches I was seeing were fucking phenomenal. That's where I met a lot of the stars. Like, oh man, let's see, Shane Hollister. I met him. Yeah, cool guy. Very surprising. Silas Young's buddies, the Irish Airborne. I met them. Silas I met. I've also got a chance to meet Jimmy Jacobs and let's see, Michael Elgin, Mischief, and a lot of the other crew. And when I was doing AAW, I had my own. I kind of had a floor mat. I had my floor director, and when I looked at my floor director, I always look for that cue to go on, because when the music stops, that's when she gives me the sign, the signal. And Michelle Flacco, I gotta give her credit. She gave me the tools to be a good announcer. I built a lot of great things in my life. I was going through changes, and I was building my corporations as time went on, and I learned that, hey, sometimes the best things in this world, you just can't put a price on it, but you gotta get what you want in life. And if you need it that badly, get it. But if you can't, just wait. Just wait for that right moment in time. And someone keeps telling me that, someone was telling me I had a daughter, and I kept going, doesn't make sense. So because no one told me this until I learned that years down the road. But as I went on, I met Colt Cabana. I love this guy. This guy was fucking funnier than I thought. The man was funnier than anything I ever seen. He had Dusty Rhodes in him, and he did some things that just blew my mind. It blows my mind that it's like, fucking hell. How does this guy go? I don't know. But it beats me. As time progressed, I've learned over those years that you got to face the facts that calling those moves, calling the matches, and then, oh man, it was phenomenal. 2011, I got a chance to I did a podcast. My very first podcast with Colt Cabana. I did a shoot before the pay-per-view. I had to pull up Todd Pettengill and do one of my rituals. Pull up the last cable bill and show everybody, hey, get your last cable bill, because remember, when that clock hits 00, you're not gonna get another shot, because when we go live, we go live. And AEW was going live because we were starting to get a bigger attraction. I got my first announcer I worked with, and he kind of surprised me that, we were kind of doing the whole, Gorilla Monsoon Bobby Heenan thing, and sure, times were a little tough, but we learned as we went on that professional wrestling got to be a little rough because we had a few problems with the fans. My commentary was so red hot. I mean, it was off the charts. And we had a few jealous losers that couldn't, have the guts enough to go the distance. Because when it came to conditioning and getting the job done, I don't let people bother me. Because calling the wrestling was my thing. Professional wrestling has always been my thing. It's been like that for many years. And the hecklers, I didn't even want to get, I didn't get bothered with it. I remember, I think it was 2012. Silas took on Michael Logan. It was one of the greatest professional wrestling matches I've ever seen in my life. It was one of the most hottest tickets I called so many of the other matches. Eric Ken and Jimmy Jacobs, I called that one in 2011. That one was bloody. It was beyond gory. And sure, it was nuts and insane, but I loved it. I just loved it. The wrestling was just the ticket, and it was the right way to go. And called that match, but back to Elgin and Silas. This was a 60-minute match. I called this match, and I had balls. I mean, I drank a lot of 7-Up that night, and I was drinking a lot of water that night. And sure, I might have took a shit, but that was before the match, because the thing was, I didn't want to have plugged ears. And I've taken care of my body and everything else in life, but calling this match, Silas and Elgin, the first match, was the most brutal, most severe, most tough. I mean, I never thought Silas and Elgin could go the distance, but these two went the distance. These two slammed each other. They were going pillar to post everywhere. The matches were just phenomenal. They were just unreal, off the wall, off the charts. Beautiful. It was like watching a masterpiece. Silas was bringing it to him. Elgin just kept fighting him. And another great match that I called was a 3-way. Eric Cannon, Jimmy Jacobs, and Silas Young for the AEW World Heavyweight title. That was at Bourbon Street. Matt, I'll tell you this. As loud as that place was, I mean, it was like working at Madison Square Garden in New York. It was more than just phenomenal. You want to talk about phenomenal and real? It was real. Jimmy Jacobs did so many crazy things. I never thought I thought the son of a bitch was going to kill himself, but he went the distance like nobody else went the distance. Sure, Eric Cannon was a drunk, but he was a funny drunk. I liked his work. He was surprising to me. Silas was the guy that could go. I mean, I never thought he could go the distance. That son of a bitch could go. I mean, the matches were good. Everything was unreal. I mean, I loved it. I mean, sure, me and Kevin Harvey went head to head. I couldn't stand him. He couldn't stand me. Well, as I put it, I had nothing to say to him because the owner of AEW, he knew who I was. I was a nice guy, and I talked to the owner of AEW. He was cool with me, and like I told him, hey, you give me I got a team of guys I can work with. They got their announcers, we got ours. I was calling those matches, and I'll tell you something from experience. Being in the crowd, working and working with the perfect announcers that I've been working with, it felt good. It felt so fucking great that you have to understand that where I come from a character standpoint and also a fictional standpoint, that when you're out there, it's just not another wrestling show. It's just a wrestling show live. Sure, the injuries are painful, and sure the wrestlers get hurt, but you gotta look at the bright side. Everything is a different attribute and a different aspect. Everything's different. Sure, you can't just get what you want when you're out there, and you gotta take the good with the bad. But I'll tell you from experience that I've experienced this over the years. I kept buying stuff off of Dustin as time went on. The corporations were getting bigger. My toy distribution was getting hot. My wrestling was getting hot. My music was already building. And everything was building very nicely. I went through a lot in 2012. I mean, I was building up my corporations, getting everything I wanted. That's when I decided to put 50% of my money into Turner. TNT, TBS. I've always wanted to go into Turner because Turner has been my go-to for so many years. I mean, growing up from watching, the disaster area when they had Captain Planet and all that, it was great. But back to business. Michael Elgin versus Silas Young Part 2. This 60-minute match was insane. It was probably one of the hottest matches I've ever called in my life. And from a character standpoint, I've watched these two go head to head. And holy shit did they tear the roof off of that place. It was more real than I've ever thought. And it was more than just off the charts. Silas Young did a net breaker off a ladder that Shane Helms did from Starrcade 2000, and I called that, and wow, it was just holy shit, unreal. I mean, there were so many other matches. I mean, I didn't know who half the guys were at the time because I was just barely new to the business and still learning that, I was learning the ropes as I went on. Windy City Classic 7. Let me just say this. Ken Shamrock was supposed to be here, right? He didn't no-show. Sabu came in. I met Sabu. This guy was fucking phenomenal. Sabu was just unreal. I met him. Funny guy. Awesome. Sabu was just... I've watched Sabu for years. The first time I seen him was in WCW when he took on Alex Wright, and then I think Halloween Havoc 95. He took on Jerry Lynn, which was Mr. JL, which I thought fooled everybody, but that's okay. It's all right. But that was good. That was fucking amazing. But as I knew. I didn't know, and the thing with Sabu and this other guy, Davey Richards, they tore the house down. But before that pay-per-view, I called another great match. Fit Finlay took on Davey Richards too. I met Fit Finlay, and this motherfucker was incredible. First European I ever met, and he was fucking phenomenal. I never thought I met Fit Finlay, but the motherfucker was incredible. And I'll still say it to this day. I've met a lot of stars from the WWF, WWF, WCW, ECW, AWA, NWA, New Japan, All Japan. Didn't matter. I loved it. I really loved it. I loved doing it. It was just phenomenal. And people didn't expect that, but you got to look at the bright things in life. But back to Windy City 7. I called this pay-per-view with my one guy, and Kevin Harvey had his crew, and oh my God, there was a gang fight in the ring, and it was really disgusting, and I didn't expect that, but we were calling matches like crazy. Half of the matches were coming out by us, and it was just wow. And I kind of had to pull my best Vince McMahon out of the hat and go, and right in our living room, ladies and gentlemen, right behind us here, holy cow. I mean, we had cameras going everywhere. I mean, matches were going by the bar, matches were in their ringside, matches were in their dust, and it was just more real than you expect. I mean, I never thought I'd see it all, but goddamn, unreal. And I was building my Facebook at the time, which nobody knew. Nobody knew I was building a Facebook page. I was building a ultimate Facebook, which I have. I put a lot of retro into my Facebook, which I've been doing for so many years. I mean, I've learned as I've grown up with everything. And I did all the things I've wanted to do, and I've learned that sometimes that, some things are hard. You'll get it down the road, but you'll find it. Just give it time, and once you get it, you get it. I was going through that stage at that time, and things changed. And the one Christmas match that I was calling in 2011, this was right after Windy City Classic 7, Mischief took on Truth Martini. I thought this match was fucking hilarious. And half of the matches that I was calling were beautiful. They were great. And this match, oh man, I had to do my entire Ernest P. World impression, because when Mischief hit Truth Martini with the Christmas tree, I had to go, oh, Christmas tree, oh, Christmas tree, oh, Christmas tree. So I had to pull an Ernest out of the hat, because, hey, Ernest was one of my favorites growing up as a kid. I loved him. But back to business. Watching Mischief wrestle Truth Martini was hilarious. It was so fucking hilarious. I mean, over the years I've watched all this stuff and thinking to myself, oh my God, this is fucking funnier than I thought. I mean, this is real. And goddamn was it funny. The matches were so loaded and surprising. It was just very, not nostalgic, but electric. As the years went on, my corporations were on the rise. I was already firing up the guns. My toy distribution already hit the peak. It was a small bill, but it was starting in the right direction. My video game distributions was already hitting top numbers. But I ran into a wall of ear infections and pain. Took those on, faced them. I was going to church around Christmas time. I was already winning championships. My numbers were already getting big. I was competing up against the big names, the big bands, and going up against the top competition. But as time progressed, I learned that, as I've learned over the years, I cut promos, and I built an international scene around my stage. My international side has been my vocal point, and I started building battle jackets. My thing was, I learned from James Hetfield. He had a string of battle jackets that he built, and I'm like, okay, I think I got the idea to build one of these bad boys. So I decided to build battle jackets. That was a kind of a thing I wanted to do, and I went through that. I tested my sewing unit ways, and I went and sewed. And to Chad, fuck you. I don't care what you think of me. Screw you. But back to business. I sewed up my own patches. I even bought the spikes. And sure, the money was tight at the time. I went through a lot in my life. And then 2017, everything changed for me. Sure, I was out of the wrestling business for a while because a lot of shit happened. I I thought I was in love with the right girl, but nope, that kind of went right in the toilet. So I had to rebuild. I rebuilt myself. I trained. I worked hard, and at the same time, I moved to New Jersey. New Jersey was the next step. I mean, you gotta feel that vibe when you're in New Jersey. If you're a Giant or a Jet, you're loved. And if you're a Ranger and a Met, you're okay. Sure, we got a few Yankee people, but that's another story. But as time went on, my corporations were already getting bigger. I was already in distribution talks with Lego, and I was also in distribution talks with, other corporations that I wanted to get a nice hold of. And my movie distribution was always been another part of my life because, growing up watching the 80s and the 90s and the 70s and much more, and television, I opened my eyes to other things like Mr. Ed, Patty Duke, and many other great TV shows that I've watched. Learned that over the period of years. I've learned as time went on, you got to be the man that you got to be. I didn't care what people thought of me, but I was doing things differently. And then I finally got a chance to meet my daughter. That turned my life around. I became a phenomenon. 2017 was the year first time in my life I grand slammed 4 titles in 1 year. I was phenomenal. I took life by the balls and just said, fuck you. I knew it was time to kick ass and take no prisoners. I took no prisoners by storm. That was my choice, to take life by the horns and kick it in full force. When I met my daughter, I did one of the songs from Battle Beast, which was Push It to the Limit, which was from Scarface. I had Black Beauty at the time, and oh man, she didn't expect that to come, but she was in Arizona, and I didn't expect that, but like I was about to say, it felt great. I mean, I pulled a guitar solo right out of the pocket. I mean, I just didn't expect to do that, but hey, it was good. It felt great. I was already in the driver's seat, and her biological mother wasn't. It's called, hey, when you meet the stars, you get with the stars. So, I went back to wrestling. This is where I met my first show. Road Warrior Animal. I met the Road Warriors. That was turning point time for me. I knew it was the thing to do. It was the greatest thing to do. I did that, and at the same time I was doing a lot of music and learning my trade. I was building my corporations up. My music industry was growing. My video game distribution was growing. Toy distribution was starting to pick up a speed. And as I've progressed over those years, I've learned that, hey, if you want to make it big in this world, you got to pay the price. You want to make things happen, you got to make it happen. And I made it happen. So as time went on and I learned and I faced a lot of challenges in reality, I ate a lot of great food and traveled, and I can't come back here and check out my grandpa once in a while, but that was my job. When you're coming from Jersey and you got to come here and you got to do shows and take care of family and business, that's the way it goes. As time, and then a lot of this shit happened. My grandfather passed away. It struck a nerve. I was buying corporations at the time, and my nerves were all wrecked. The pandemic pissed me off so hard to the point where I lost my temper. The rage was getting intense. My violent side was already coming out. And this mask wearing bullshit was pissing me off, and I was sick and tired of it. I stopped doing the wrestling shows completely because everything just got stupid. I met the Killer Bees, I met Tracy Smothers and everything else, but at the same time, I didn't feel like wrestling was changing in the Berwyn area. It was just crap. So I said, you know what, retire. It was a good thing to retire. I did that. But back to the pandemic. It was the worst time of my life. I mean, I was buying up corporations. I was going through a tough time. I moved from Allentown to Chicago. It was horrible. I didn't want to come back, but had to. I learned as I went on over the years that sometimes we can't get what we want in life. But I'll tell you something I did. The next year later, everything changed. 2021. I met my daughter. Before I met my daughter, I paid for her prom and her graduation. I showed the world what I could do. And I did it. With one word. Heart. I had a heart. Her biological mother didn't have the balls to do it. Because she was too busy getting drunk and acting stupid. I was growing a phenomenon. My music corporation already hit its peak. My toy distribution was already at full swing. My video game distribution was already red hot. And everything else was smoke. I was on fire. Except for my temper. My temper was at a different kind of red. A red with rage. I got into 20 or 25 fights with the CTA. I took on a bunch of scum in my life. I faced a lot of challenges and faced whoever I wanted, and I took them on. And I won. And I brought my daughter home. I dumped the manager I used to have because she was turning out to be an asshole. She was trying to get into my pants, which I didn't appreciate because number one, she was trying to cheat her way through her baby daddy, which I didn't appreciate. It was called I don't know you like that, so please, if I don't know you, you need to take a back seat. But when I brought my daughter home, it was the right time because I had enough of everybody's crap. To go through that kind of pain and sorrow, I felt that pain. It felt good to bring my daughter home because it was time. And I was working at the time. My mom was out of the hospital after having a J&G tube in her. She didn't want any nurses, so I had to come back here. No choice. I have no choice. I had my daughter here for 2 months. She did a lot of stupid things behind my back that will blow a person's mind. It really hurt. I suffered a lot during that time, and when she left, I cried because she gave me pain that was ridiculous. She didn't have the heart enough to help me put up a Christmas tree. I've been putting my own Christmas tree up for almost 20 years. And she didn't even want to help me. She was too busy doing pills. But I was enjoying the time of my life, just getting on my feet. I was cutting grass, making money, doing my own things. Then the next year later, she ran away right back to Arizona. That's when she became a stripper. It broke my heart into pieces. I was crying severely. I was heartbroken. I was angry. I was so mad at her that I didn't want anything to do with her. Then she was captured. She was captured by a gang of thugs in July. I didn't know why. But lucky for me, I had friends on Instagram who I knew, United States Army. They stopped a gang of thugs who captured my daughter, and I was glad. I'm like, I knew I had to. I didn't call it not just one police department. It was 5 different police departments. I was pissed off and I was angry. And after they caught the bastards. I was like, thank you. It felt good. Because I didn't want my daughter getting hurt. Because the way we're living in this sick world of today, it's terrible. And then she went and got married, and she got pregnant behind my back, which I didn't appreciate. And she went and got married, which she didn't tell me. That's okay. That's fine. You know why? I've learned that being a great father has always been my vocal point. I'm always going to be a great father to my daughter. Sure, she's an asshole now. That's fine. But she'll learn down the road when it comes time for her kid to go to high school or grammar school first, then high school. She's gonna need my help, and she's gonna have to figure that out. And now, on to these 6 idiots. Silas, I'm gonna tell you about these 6 idiots. Bobby Beasley is a fucking reject from the Group Factory. After what he did to me, and what he said about my mother, and my girl, and my daughter, fuck him. Fuck him and his lifestyle. He is a joker, a wannabe flake. He's a loser. Why are you hanging out with him? I don't know. But it makes me sick to my stomach that he's a fucking dirtbag and a loser. Chad Collins, asshole, loser, nothing happening, low life, cocksucker. Yeah, and you know that's Bobby's boyfriend. Yeah, facts are facts. That's the truth. Yanni, he's a dick. I blow him away 1, 2, 3. Strikeout City, fastball all night long. Dan is a joke. He is a fucking waste of space, money, time, and everything else. Let me remind you where this idiot came from. I don't know if he came from the toilet or the dog, the shitter, or wherever, but he's crap. Andrew Cato is a fruit booty, nothing happening, low life, imbecile, cocksucking dweeb, and a dipshit. The guy's a fucking turd. He's nothing but a low-life reject, and he will never, ever carry my bags, my boots, my jockstrap, or anything. Enrico Palazzo is a fucking moron, and that name, he should be using that name because that's copyright infringement from The Naked Gun, which came out of 1988. If anyone don't remember that movie, oh yeah, I do. I have all the movies in front of me. I have over 4 beautiful big corporations. Mostly everything. I got in the music department, I own Nuclear Blast Records. I got Century Media. I got Roadrunner Records. I already have Napalm. I already have Columbia, Epic, RCA, MCA, CBS. From the movies department, Paramount, Icon. Oh, let's see, MCA. Many other distributions that I own, like Universal. Oh yeah. And also I have the books from church. You know, I gotta thank the trying to think of the name. The Church of Latter-day Saints. I have to thank them for their help. They helped me 3 years ago find my daughter, and I'm thankful they gave me that chance. I'm also thankful that I have an iPhone that I have right in my hands. I'm also very thankful that I have the fans that I still have to this day. I have the wrestlers that I will always love. I have the people that I will always love. And I'm not referring to you, Bobby, because you're shit on a stick. And Chad, you're such a disease. And your whole crew sucks big, fat, fucking elephant dicks. You got that? Because you'll never, and I'm gonna say this one time for y'all losers. You losers will never cooperate with system. This is why champions like me who led the way, fought through wars, went through blood, went through rage, hatred, carnage. I took them all on. I've traveled the world. I've seen it all. I've learned. See, this is what 25 years pays. It pays off. And Scott Hall once said, hard work pays off. Everything comes a price. If you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. And I guess it's going to be who's going to be choking the chicken, because from what I saw, Bobby, Chad, Dan, Yanni, Andrew, Enrico, and that other fruitcake that you were hanging out with, you big seven will never, ever carry the systems like I got. I got the world, I rock the world, and I am the world. So, you know what y'all can go do? Y'all can go suck a dick, because as far as I'm concerned, you'll never, and I quote this in quote, you'll never, ever get to where I've been. Until you can make it, you can fake it all you want, you can gaslight it all you want, but I am far past real, and I'm way too real. So, until then, you boys need to do several things in life. 1, go back to the drawing board, or go do something in life. Yeah, like make a chess club or something, or go make a gay men's choir, like you guys have been doing for the last 30 years of your life. Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm still here, I'm still kicking, and the only thing you'll be doing after this 60-minute promo, the only thing you'll be doing is getting on your knees and kiss my ass. Bank on it and believe that. Bitch.